In this video, I'm going to summarize a few of the things I said earlier today on Linda G's channel. And I'll start with a reference to yesterday's video on my channel, the one about Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that I learned that he basically said that he was going to be attacked by the woke mob as a result of this controversy he's been involved in, the one where he basically lied through his teeth about his vaccine status. And I gotta say that I'm pretty offended by that, because I must be one of those people, since I know I got vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated. And I gotta wonder where he's coming from on this, because when you look at the stats, 430 million people have been vaccinated in the US. I believe 190 plus thousand are fully vaccinated, and close to 60% of the population is fully vaccinated. So if this means that 6 out of 10 people in the country are fully vaccinated, does this mean that 60% of the country is woke? If that's true, that's a problem for those that are non-woke, you would have to say, right? At minimum. And I have a feeling that those numbers are gonna grow, right? Anyway, we'll put that aside for now. I'll continue with the Donald Trump story and remind everyone that he's still got some Jupiter protection, which is enabling him to score a lot of Pyrrhic victories, such as maybe the fact that Virginia went Republican instead of Democratic. What else is he winning with? Everything he's trying isn't working. And we know that by late this month and into December especially, Jupiter opposes his Mars, and that's when the trouble is going to start, and it will increase even more late in the year and into 2022 when Jupiter enters Pisces, because he doesn't like planets in Pisces, and he doesn't like them because they're in his 8th house, squaring his Gemini planets and the moon in Sagittarius. Right? So his situation is about to turn, and you can already see that since there was a second grand jury convened recently, and the previous grand jury put forth indictments about 5 weeks after they were convened, you start to see how this fits a little too neatly into the Jupiter and Pisces period, which comes at the end of the year. It's a little more than 5 weeks, but it's in there. So you can see how that could manifest. There's also the fact that the January 6th committee has issued multiple subpoenas to a lot of those people that were cooking up the January 6th insurrection. And you have to think that that's probably not good for Trump either. There are too many data points, too many things going on, too much stuff swirling around, that once it's in the air and you know that the chart has all kinds of places where it can be attacked, so to speak, it's not a good thing. It simply isn't a good thing. While I speak of Jupiter and Pisces, we can connect it to COVID as well. I remember making videos months ago in which I said that even though the initial apparent end of the pandemic was mid-May, when Jupiter entered Pisces, we then had a return to restrictions. But notice that they happened precisely as Jupiter backtracked into Aquarius, which is what you would expect. But now it's returning back into Pisces at the end of the year, signaling, if not the complete end, most of it is going to be gone, in my opinion. And you have to realize that even though in May the pandemic didn't end, in some ways it did, because one of the markers that I use is when you watch, for example, European sports, soccer, the stands were empty until May of 2021. After that, lots of fans in the stands. Now they're completely full. So at this stage, the pandemic is really a question of the unvaccinated. But nevertheless, we should see a lot of restrictions loosened and a new tone starting in the new year, which is an interesting test of astrology, because normally you'd say, well, it's winter and maybe things aren't going to work till spring. Some people have even said, well, Venus is in Capricorn, and this triggers where Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter used to be. I'm not buying that. I think the Jupiter in Pisces entry is going to signify something important. And so that covers most of the big cycles that are coming up. The other thing I'll mention is a lot of this panic that I hear about November being a terrible month because there's an eclipse in Scorpio and that Biden has planets in late Scorpio. The problem was October, somewhat September, definitely October, because of the stations. There were multiple planets in a station: Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter. This is hard when those planets make challenging aspects in your chart, which they were doing for Biden. And it's why his approval rating is low, and why things didn't go so well, even going back to the Afghanistan issue, which was in August, right? But now, as we move forward, those stations are basically, they're over, the planets are moving forward, and the fact that there's a new moon or a full moon, it's somewhat significant, but I think people really overplay these particular astrology angles, and they'll say all by themselves, this is going to be some kind of cataclysm, some kind of disaster. I'm not buying it. Biden's chart is improving as we go toward the end of the year, and in particular as we enter the new year, because Jupiter in Pisces is very friendly to Scorpio, which is where all his planets are. And as far as his popularity, yes, it's taken a hit, but remember what I've said in several prior videos. He has a Neptune trine from Pisces to his Scorpio planets. That tells you that in the broader sense, it's very difficult to undo a person's popularity when they have that kind of aspect. True, when Saturn is around, it'll take dips. But I think with Biden, unlike with Trump, it's going to recover and he's going to be fine. All right, that's all for now.